Yes, Sindiso, Malaku, Wholesale and Retail SETA. So as the Wholesale and Retail SETA, our key mandate is skills development within the bigger retail and wholesale sector. So that entails supporting small businesses, supporting medium businesses, as well as large businesses that are in the retail space. But for the purposes of today's session, I will concentrate more on small businesses, which means all your smaller guys, your informal traders, your cooperatives, and all that. As the theme says, the key thing is the hand up. So how do we give these businesses a leg up so that they can be able to develop and grow and become successful businesses? So the SMME environment in South Africa, we understand it, that the government has over a number of years established institutions to help the SMME sector. You talk about CFA to help them with financial resources. You talk about SEDA to help them with non-financial services such as business plan, marketing, and so forth. But then these efforts by government have really not been successful over the years. And then if you talk about the retail sector in itself, only retail sector, you are talking about a huge sector in South Africa. There are about 5.9 million small businesses that are owned, that are businesses that are small in South Africa. And that is a study by Finmark in 2010, you know, and those businesses are owned by some 6 million South African. So I think the point I'm driving home here is that the SMME sector is big, but it is really not stepping up, you know, taking its position like we see happening in other countries, Asian countries. You talk about the employment in the retail sector, 11.6 people are employed in the retail sector. But still, we are saying that the sector has really not stepped up, you know, 160 billion GDP that is generated by the sector. By all accounts, that is a huge amount. So now the SMME sector, as we can see, or the informal sector, it really is it should be a leading sector. It should be taking its place. It should be commanding, but it is not happening now. We talk about NDP 2030. According to the NDP 2030, it says that 90% of the jobs in the SMME sector, of the jobs in South Africa will come from the SMME sector. Now the question is, we are 10 years to go to 2030. Are we on track to get that? And I think we will agree that we are not on track to getting those jobs, 90% of jobs being small businesses. So we are lagging behind as South Africa in terms of businesses. No matter the instruments the government has introduced, there is a national informal business support upliftment strategy. It's also not having good effect. There is the integrated urban development framework. It's also not doing, it's not faring well. You've got a Davis Tax Committee or Commission. It's also not faring well. So all these instruments were geared up to assist the SMME, but unfortunately that has not been happening. So that was just a background of what the SMME sector is all about. Now we talk about the wholesale and retail sector, SETA. So we have 21 SETAs all in all, and wholesale and retail is but one of them. So we are under the Department of Higher Education and Training. Our core mandate is skills development, and the retail sector is a leading sector in the country as demonstrated before. But we as a result of the COVID-19, the sector experienced serious challenges. You know, there were job cuts across the sector, and many people lost their jobs. So whilst it is one of the biggest sectors, but when the economy becomes unstable, it is one of the first sectors to shed jobs, because when economic strain is experienced, people stop buying or they moderate their purchasing. So when they moderate their purchasing, the sector responds by curtailing employment, by shedding jobs. So it is that type of an industry which is big but very sensitive. So in terms of the number of companies, we have big number, 79 of the SMMEs are in the retail sector. Now, our SMME strategy has 6 points. You know, we talk about partnerships, you know, with leading institutions, you know, funding institutions, government agents, development agencies. So our strategy talks about that. Secondly, our strategy is developmental in its nature, to say, how do we move small businesses to being big businesses, to being international businesses? And the third point is it is catalytic in nature. The role is, how do we make these businesses sustainable, you know, and grow? You know, rural focus is huge in our SMME sector. How do we get those businesses that are in the rural areas, those businesses that are in the townships, how do we give them a hand up so that they step up and become competitive entities? But also associations, chambers of commerce, community-based organizations, they become our partners, as well as mentorship and coaching. Now, what challenges have been faced by small businesses in this sector? Lack of funding to develop community-based entities. We are aware of that if you go to a bank and you run a fairly small businesses, you will have to put a good collateral, or you don't get funding at all. So those are the regulations we somehow need to loosen up, so that small businesses are able to go to the financial institution based on a business plan. Of course, you cannot just walk in and expect to get funding. Based on a sound business model, you should be able to walk in to the funding institution and present your case, present your business case, and if it is viable, you should be able to get funding. So now the challenge now we are faced with is this collateral challenge. And how many businesses have security, have collateral? Small businesses, they don't have. You find that their turnover annually is less than 500,000 rands. The net asset value of their businesses is about what? 1 million rands. So it is not much to provide a collateral when they seek funding too. So that is one of the challenges. Another challenge is protection of these small businesses. And when we talk protection, we talk about the influx of foreign companies that come into the rural areas, that come into the townships. You know, we see most of the tuck shops in townships are owned now by foreigners. You know, most of the businesses are owned by foreigners, and the township business owned by the locals has, to all intents and purposes, vanished. So those are the challenges. But not only that, now we also see another picture where huge businesses are now also going into the township. You know, they do what we call cannibalizing small businesses in the townships. So you see leading entities. I mean, you go to tuck shops that are now branded with the branding of big businesses. So I think the question is, how do we then protect the township business against that? And then I'm not saying, by all means, I'm not saying that competition must be limited. Competition must be opened, but when that competition is opened, there must be mechanisms to protect the local businesses. Skills development is a third challenge. Small businesses, mostly they lack skills and technical know-how to run their businesses. So this is where W&RSETA comes in, to say, how do we help these small businesses? How do we capacitate them? How do we give them the necessary infrastructure? How do we give them knowledge so that they're able to compete and run their businesses professionally? Market access, they have products, they have the tools, but where do they take their products to? So those are the challenges that, some of the challenges that are faced by the by small businesses. And now, what do we do then as a SETA to counter those challenges? So we have 6 things that we do as W&RSETA. Number 1, we have the SME DG project. You know, it stands for Small and Medium Enterprises Discretionary Grant Project. This is a project we implement on an annual basis, where we invite small businesses and medium businesses to come forward, apply for grant funding from the W&RSETA, and that funding, they use it. they inject it back into the business in a form of skills development and training, and they train their staff so that they become better entities. This is a grant, it's not a loan. It's a grant that we give to these small businesses. Upon them completing the necessary documentation, they get that funding. So that is one. The second one is what we call the Informal Traders and Micro Enterprises Development Project, ITAMET. As it stands, it is for informal traders and micro enterprises. These are small guys who employ less than 10 people in their businesses. We also have products for them. You know, we give them training, we give them the necessary infrastructure, we take them through mentorship and coaching programs so that they become capacitated and knowledgeable about how they run their businesses. And in that way, we are of the view that fend off competition from foreigners and also stand toe-to-toe with enterprises that come into townships or rural areas. The third one is the Entrepreneurship Development Program. This one is targeted at young people, young minds who have business ideas, who have business ambitions, who want to develop that. Because it is hard for them to get employment, they think of things they can do for them to be able to grow and do better with their lives. So Entrepreneurship Development Program is there to support young people who want to do business. This year, we'll be supporting 200 young people to do business. So we take them through training, we take them through mentorship and coaching, and after that, we give them the infrastructure with 30,000 rand. So each of those 200 young people who will be in this program, at the end of the process, after training and all, they will get 30,000 rands each for them to go and buy tools for their businesses or buy stock if they already have existing businesses so that they become bigger and more competitive. The fourth one is the Ngo Npo Development Programs. We also do assist those enterprises that mostly operate from the rural communities, such as the NPOs and the NGOs. So we have a project where we also collect them annually. This year we'll be training 20 NGOs and NPOs. This year we'll be training 20 of them. We give them training. After that, we give them grant voucher as well, so that they can inject into their businesses and grow their businesses, as well as cooperatives as well. We also have programs for cooperatives, and we give them funding, we give them training, and they go forth to run their businesses. So now the SME discretionary grant is for companies that are officially registered. So a company must be registered with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. If it is not registered, it can't participate. 2, it must be South African based. So if it is a South African company that operates from Lesotho, that operates from Eswatini, that operates from Zimbabwe, they can't participate because they must operate within the borders of the Republic for them to benefit, and they must be owned by South African. So if it is a company that is based in South Africa, but is entirely owned by foreigners, it will also not benefit. So the third one is that the company must be in the retail space. Now, retail space is a relative term. One asks, what do you mean by retail? For me, retail is not just about Pick and Pay, it's not about ShopRite or Foschini Group, but it's about the value chain. I always say that once a business is 70% retailing and trading, for me, it is in the retail. If you go to the small farmer in Kwakwa who grows their products and rears their cattle, they do that to sell the products. You know, a poultry farmer does that to sell chicken, to sell eggs. So for me, that is in the retail sector. The value chain is within the retail sector. So it applies also to other sectors. So the key thing is that that business must be in the retail sector. A simple example of a business that will not benefit from the W&RSETA, one is a transport sector. You know, taxis, they cannot benefit. They don't sell anything. They are a service sector. They will not benefit from W&RSETA. They will have to go to another TETA. The second one is people who run the mortuaries, the morgues. They will not benefit as well. Although they sell caskets, if you will, although they sell caskets, but the biggest part of them is they are in the insurance, they're an insurance sector, you know, so they will not benefit. But once a company is in the retail, majority of it is in the retail, they benefit, and then we give them 18,000 rands grants to grow their businesses. The next slide is the informal traders and micro enterprises. Now here we are talking about small guys, extremely small guys who sell from the street corners, who sell from the taxi rank, from the stadiums, you know, small guys who are up and coming, who are making a living out of their efforts. These are the guys that we are targeting here. On an annual basis, we target 2,400 of them, which is 240 per province. Now, Gauteng is divided into two in terms of our structure. There's a Gauteng North, there's a Gauteng South. That's why we have 10 and not 9. So 240 per province participate. Now these people receive training from an accredited W&RSETA the training provider. And then after training, we give them vouchers. This year we'll be giving them 3,000 rands vouchers. So now with this voucher, we are saying to them, take 2 days out of your busy schedule to attend this training. Don't worry about the losses that you are making out there. Just sit and concentrate on the training, and we give them the necessary skills for them to run their business. At the end of that training, we give them grant vouchers. Now, it's not just about 3,000 rands. We transport them from their homes to the training venue. For over 2 days, 3 days, they are there. We cater for them, and we give them all these necessary tools of trade. In other instances, we give them the PPE equipment, you know, so that when they leave that training, they're able to go out there and practice and clean hygiene, you know. So it is not just about the 3,000 rands. The value actually is way more than 3,000 rands. It gets to about 6,500 that they benefit from this program. Now, the entrepreneurship program is one of our new programs. 200 young people participate, 6 months training. After that, we give them 30,000 rands to go and start their businesses. Now, tell me, an organization, even a financial institution that can just take young people off the streets and say, listen, come, you have an idea of a business. Let us see how viable that idea is. If it is viable, come on board. We give you training. We give you mentorship and coaching. We call expert speakers from SEDA, from SIFA, from the National Youth Development Agency, from various banks to come there and tell them about financial products and so forth. But at the end of that, we then give them 30,000 rands, non-refundable grant. So they take that 30,000 rands. Only requirement we want is for them to inject it back into the business. Let us see growth. When we go back to them in 6 months' time, we want to find their businesses better than they were before they joined the program. So this is one of the newest programs we have established, the Entrepreneurship Development Program, and we're looking forward to its success. So we also go to the rural areas and do cooperatives. We support the mamas who are running the bidding cooperatives, who are running primary cooperatives, who are running secondary cooperatives, 20 cooperatives annually that we help. So each of those cooperatives, we train 11 members of those cooperatives. So in total, we train 220 of them. So we give them training as well in terms of how they can make their cooperatives run like business entities and officially. And this year, we're also planning to give them the grant vouchers of 2,000 rands. So after they are done with the training, we give them the grant voucher of 2,000 rands. So we also have NGOs and NPOs. If you are running a child welfare NGO, we are running a sports NGO, we are running whatever NGO one is running. Here we are not concentrating on the retail sector. We are concentrating on the industry, which is the NGO and NPO environment. So people who are running NGOs are welcome to come forward and apply for grant funding from W&RSETA. So 100 NGOs and POs will benefit from this program. We'll be training 2 members per NGO or NPO. So all in all is 200 people we will be training. So we also have partnerships that we do with small businesses. And this is based on the idea that we cannot be everywhere and anywhere at the same time. So for us to be able to reach other corners of the Republic, we need partnership with existing institutions. We have a partnership with the Department of Business Development. It's a 20.3 million rands partnership where 1,000 informal traders across the country are recruited, are trained, and we give them about infrastructure worth 10,000 rands each. We also have a partnership with SIFA, SIFA standing for Small Enterprise Finance Agency. So we have a partnership with them. In March, we trained 20 informal traders who trade in fresh produce in Bloemfontein. So that is those who sell vegetables, who sell fruits from the market. So we trained 20 of them in Bloemfontein, and it was just a pilot. So we are looking to go to Nelspruit, we are looking to go to eThekwini, and we're looking to go to Springs. We're going to grow this one as well with SIFA. So we also have a partnership with SEDA, SEDA standing for Small Enterprise Development Agency. So there's a MOU we are finalizing with them now as we speak. So with this MOU, we want to assist small businesses that were hit hard by COVID-19. So we are injecting quite a substantial amount of money into that. We are looking at around 10 million from the W&RSETA only. So SEDA will bring their share as well. So it is going to be a huge project that we will be implementing. This is not only targeted at the retail, it's targeted at the SMME sector as a whole. It will be driven by SEDA in partnership with us as the W&RSETA. So all in all, W&RSETA, our job is to is to ensure that small businesses are sustained, are assisted, and they become profitable and sustainable entities, so that they become entities that can do business better, that can compete with foreign traders that are in the township, that can compete with leading enterprises, entities that are also in the township and rural areas. So I always say we cannot take sticks and rocks and try to chase away foreign traders. We can't do that. We're a democratic state. So all we can do is for us to empower our people to run their businesses better. And once we have empowered them, then the consumers will prefer the businesses that are owned by South Africans because they have everything. There's nothing disheartening than going to a shop, you want to buy something and they say it is not there. The next thing you move next door. And once you move next door, you find it. You'll never go back to that initial store you went to. So ours is to say that we want to create these small businesses. So our hands-up approach is to say, what can we do in as far as training is concerned to give these guys the necessary skills, the necessary technical know-how so that they become entities. And once we have done that, they will be able to be on a pedestal where they become good entities, where they become entities of choice amongst the township and rural areas dwellers. So it is our mandate as a W&RC to make sure that these businesses, I always say again, there's this SMME concept. When a tender is published, is for SMMEs. The tender is likely to be gotten by somebody who is a medium enterprise, because medium enterprises, by and large, are big businesses. They have all the know-how, they have all the tools, they have all the resources. So small and micro enterprises, they continue to lag behind because most of the jobs are gotten by medium enterprises. So I've always argued that we need to change that concept, to say medium enterprises must go compete with big businesses, because medium enterprises have the necessary tools. In fact, most of the medium enterprises are JSE listed companies. So the only difference between a large company and a medium enterprise is just the number of employees. According to our definition, a medium enterprise is an enterprise that owns less than 150 people. It's a medium company, according to us. And a big one is the one that owns 150 going upwards. So, 149 employee company, it's a huge company by any standard. How do you expect that to compete with a company that employs 5 people? So those are the debates that we must have within the SMME sector. So I then come up with what I call SMITE. SMITE standing for Small, Medium, and Informal Traders Enterprises. Perhaps that's what we must look at, the SMITE sector, to say, how do we empower small, the micro and the informal traders so that they become good enterprises. We capacitate them, and then we set aside certain projects, we set them aside for them only. And we exclude medium enterprises so that they can go and compete with big enterprises. So in a nutshell, this is where people can reach us on 012-622-9500, or if they have any email queries, they want to check with us, they can check us on W&RSETA at WNRSETA.org.za. We are also available on social media at W&RSETA, Twitter. We are also on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and you can also catch us on YouTube. So this is Sindiso Malaku. I was representing the W&RSETA, and this is how we end it.